Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats.
If you're a garlands-focused business, I already know that you probably started your business by posting on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and by getting those direct messages. Well, if that's where you're at today, I would love to help you get people calling you and finding you without needing to use social media all the time. Those higher-end clients, they want to see your work on a website. It's time to get that website together so that you can attract those higher budget clients. Hi, I'm Jeff from Balloon Suite, and we specialize in building websites specifically for balloon decor businesses. Our pricing starts at $50 a month, and we have pre-built website templates specific to balloon decor. Don't waste your time with the DIY. Go ahead and start with my team at balloonsuite.com, and you can jump ahead, be better with your time, generate more sales by having a website that represents your work.
Hello and welcome to your bonus episode of the month. This is our book club episode, which takes place the first week of every month, where I review what we are talking about over in the Patreon group. So if you're not familiar, there is a book club group that is a paid membership. It's $5 a month. And in that group, you get a bonus podcast episode every single week, and it relates to the book of the month. So every month I read through a professional development, a self-development book, a business book, something that will get your gears turning and thinking about either your life or your business. And when I say that these books have had a profound impact on my life, I'm not exaggerating, because big life update here, I have resigned from my full-time job. So as of March 1st, I will be doing balloons full-time. And I talked about, a little bit of why I got to that point in my life that I needed to walk away from my corporate job over on the Patreon group. I can be a little bit more honest in that in those episodes, because they are private. So they're not public. Not anyone can listen. So Patreon members have known for a couple weeks now that I gave my notice. I'm leaving my job. I will be there for another month. And after I actually leave, I will record an episode about how I prepared to leave my job, what led me to this point. But honestly, it's the knowledge and the courage that I have gained from all of these books that we have read. So let's get into the January book of the month, which was Do Less by Kate Northrup. The whole premise behind Do Less is about the author when she was working and then got pregnant and was basically like incapacitated with fatigue. Like, she was so tired from the beginning to the end of her pregnancy, and she could barely get out of bed. So she couldn't keep up with her business. So instead, she did the bare minimum. Like, she only focused on the things that she absolutely had to do. And the result was, at the end of the year, pretty much nothing changed. Like, her business didn't grow, but it didn't go down in flames. So she realized she was filling so much time with things that weren't important, didn't matter, and didn't really have an impact on her business. So she started thinking, like, what are ways that I can basically optimize my life choices so that I don't have to do all the things? Like, what's the least I can do to get the most results? So if you know me, that's obviously like, I love it. I love that already. So that is what initially kind of sparked my interest in this book. So let's jump in. Some of the key takeaways from the book in terms of what you can do less. One of them that I found really interesting was basically paying attention to your biology, like your body as a woman. Like, we all know that there are cycles every month, and those cycles and the parts of the cycle can really impact your productivity. There are 4 cycles, and they are the follicular, ovulation, luteal, and the menstrual phase. So obviously you've heard of some or all of those, and usually we just ignore them, right? Like we pay attention to one of them in particular and we think of it as a curse. But she comes from a very like holistic background. Her mother was a doctor. And basically she says it's like a psychic power. Like if you're in tune with your body and you know when you're hitting each of those phases, it's basically like a roadmap to your productivity. So in the follicular phase, it's a really good time to like start new things or like brainstorming. It's like a new beginning. Ovulation, when you're in that phase, that is a good time to like network and get out there. That is when you're going to be like really, really vibrant. The luteal phase is a good time for detailed work and completing projects. And what's interesting is the luteal phase is actually really long. These phases they're not equal. It's not like 25% of the month you're in one phase, then the other, then the other. They're different lengths. So I think ovulation's only like 3 or 4 days out of the month. The luteal phase is the majority of the month, and that is when you should be doing detailed work, completing projects, and like tying up loose ends, basically. So in the balloon world, I would think of that as like emails, following up with clients, sending out invoices, getting jobs ready to go out the door, like the actual day-to-day stuff. So if you're not always in that super creative, super like vision board, like thoughtful process, like that's totally normal. Like if there are times where it just feels really hard to be creative, that's because biologically it's actually hard for your brain to be creative, which I think is really interesting. And then the menstrual phase, which everyone has heard of, that is a time for, surprise, rest and reflection. And again, that's another one of those things that like basically society just ignores. Like you do not have permission to just like rest for a week. But she says when you opt out of traditional corporate America and you work for yourself, you can make those choices. You can decide when you're going to rest, when you're going to give your body a break. So I found that really, really interesting. Another one of the strategies that she talks about in terms of doing less is once again about this competition game. So this idea that we naturally compare ourselves to other people. And she shared a story and I connected with it so much. This idea that like she was really proud of how her business was doing. Like she was hitting her goals. She was meeting her sales goals. She was, living this great life. They were taking vacations. Like she felt really good about herself and her life. But then she would go to the annual convention. And I'm not sure what she does. She doesn't clarify. I think she's like a multi-level marketer. If I had to guess, I think she sells something. So she would go to this convention each year. And she'd go to the convention and they'd call up all the top salespeople. And she was never one of them. And she would feel really bad about herself. And then she said, like, it was because she was all of a sudden caring about something that she had not cared about the rest of the year. So she hadn't cared about being in the top 10% of salespeople. She hadn't worked towards it. She hadn't put that on her list of goals. Like she didn't care. But all of a sudden, she felt like a big loser because she didn't accomplish something that other people accomplished. So she said she had to come home after one of those conventions and get like very honest and write down a list of the things she cared about in her business and in her life. Because it basically put like blinders on. She wasn't distracted by other people in her field. And I feel like this happens to me so much. Like I'm focused on one thing, but then I see someone else on Instagram like get a, $10,000 corporate install. And all of a sudden I feel like a loser because I don't have any $10,000 corporate installs. But like that's not something I care about. That's not what I'm focusing on. Like I have very specific goals that I am looking at. Or, if you go to a convention and you see the people who win like the competitions, right? And you're like, oh, I could never win a competition. I feel like an idiot. It's like, well, you didn't even compete. B, do you really care about winning a competition? Or are you just in that moment comparing yourself to someone who like it doesn't do anything in your life? So I really liked that chapter about just like figuring out what matters to you. And I tried to do this, and the things that I wrote down were so simple and so obvious. It really put a lot of things into perspective. Like, I don't care about being the best balloon artist in the world. I truly don't. I care about having enough money to give my daughter what she needs and wants. I like living in, this house. I like being able to go on vacation. I like being able to like repair my car when it breaks down. Like I like security. I don't need to be the most creative. I don't need to be like the most followed on Instagram. But those things still get to me when I'm like, oh, I don't have any followers. This person's so much more popular. Like it's just amazing how we can beat ourselves down so quickly. So I really like that idea of just making a list of the things that actually matter to you. It really is just like almost funny because mine were so simple, so obvious, and so not at all the things that actually like knock me down and like make me feel bad about myself. So it has given me a better grasp on like what actually matters. So her whole point is like, you can free up time not caring about the things that aren't on your list and not doing the things that aren't on your list. For example, if you feel like, oh, I'm not going to all the conventions and I have FOMO, well, what's on your list, right? Like, what do you care about? Do you care about going to balloon conventions? Do you care about socializing with balloon friends? Or do you care about, making the money that I'm not making when I'm at a balloon convention? Or maybe you rather spend those vacation days with your family, right? So it's all about kind of prioritizing what matters to you. So I really liked that chapter. I thought it was very simple and very actionable. I would say the other big takeaway, excuse me, the other big takeaway, which is so silly, but I did it this week and it was a game changer, was this idea of moving away from the daily to-do list and moving towards a weekly to-do list. So that's the whole tip, right? It's so simple, but this idea of having a daily to-do list and then you write down a million things and then you only do 3 of them. And then the next morning you wake up and you take all the things that you didn't get to yesterday and you move them onto your to-do list to today, and then you still don't get through all of them and you feel like a big loser. So then the next day you wake up and you take all of those things that you didn't get to and you add them to your to-do list. And it's like this never-ending cycle of defeat. So she said most people overestimate what you can get done in a day and underestimate what you can get done in a week. And this week I moved away from the daily to-do list. So Monday morning, I had my big, long, million things to do. And I just keep a running list in my phone on the Notes app. And Monday morning, I sat down and I actually designated days for those things. So I broke them up into chunks so that, there were 20 things on there, but each day I was only doing 3 or 4 things. And it is now, I'm recording this the day before it's releasing. So it is Wednesday night and I have now gotten everything done on my Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to-do list. And tomorrow I only have 3 or 4 things to do. And then Friday I have the whole day open. So I could even do things on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I just still think of my to-do list as the weekday. But it's just amazing how much less stress I feel and how much more time I feel like I have to get these things done versus looking at this laundry list of things that I'm never going to get to. I now have 3 or 4 things that I absolutely need to do. And then that's it. And I feel so much more relaxed. That has been such a game changer for me. I love it. The other thing that I am really excited for and I've started to do was a chapter about not doing certain things. Just stop doing certain things. So she said, anytime there's an item on your to-do list, you should ask 2 questions. And that is, do I have to do this? And does anybody have to do this? So those are the 2 questions. There are a lot of things that we are doing that you can just say what if I just didn't do that? What if we just didn't do that? Right? There's so many things that you just do because you have to, but it's what if, I just didn't do that? What would happen? What would be the worst case scenario? So if you go back to the beginning of the book and think about her setup, her premise for this whole book, which was her being pregnant, so tired, all she could physically do was the bare minimum. And guess what happened? Pretty much nothing changed. So she said she was slashing 70% of her to-do list and nothing changed in her business, meaning that 70% of work that she had been doing before was resulting in almost no noticeable output. So the challenge is when you write something on your to-do list, ask yourself, is this something that needs to be done? And obviously a lot of it, yes, you have to do. So then she says the next question is this something that I have to do? Or could you pay somebody else? Could you hire it out? Could you outsource? Could you assign it to someone on your team? So she says you really have to guard your time. So I really liked that because there are some things on my to-do list that when I actually think about it, it's like, why do I have to do this thing? So that is really simple, but I know that that is one of the chapters that I would have kind of rolled my eyes at before, because when you work a 9 to 5, even if there's something on your to-do list that no one needs to do, let alone you still have to do it, right? Like, you're an employee. So I'm very excited to be my own boss starting in March in a month, because that is the type of simple thing that I'll be able to do now. Like, if there's something on my to-do list that I don't want to do, that I don't think is necessary, I can choose to not do it. Versus at a 9 to 5, you don't have that choice, right? Like, you have to do the things that you have to do, even if you're like, this is dumb, we should stop doing this, there's got to be a better way. Sometimes you just don't have that control, like, because of your position. So I'm really excited to have that control in my business and be able to test some of these things and either do them or outsource them or not do them. Like, I just am really excited about having some of that freedom. So the final section that I wanted to chat about in this episode, and there's a lot more detail and a lot more tips in the Patreon episodes. So if you find this episode interesting, you can head over there and listen to those. But the final section that I found really interesting was the idea of asking for help. So again, Kate Northrup, the author, said that she really ran her own business. Like, she did everything. Then her husband came on board and they really did everything together. So they were a very small operation, making a lot of money, but then things continued to grow and things started to get sloppy. So out of necessity, they had to hire things out, like their website, or they would do like sales launches. They needed help with that. And she said what was interesting was that the minute they started asking for help, and again, this wasn't just asking for help, they were paying people, but the minute they started having other people help, their business grew like exponentially. So say that they brought someone on to help them with their website and they paid them $1,000. That $1,000 in return made them like $5,000. Then they brought someone on to help with sales. So for example, let's say they're paying them $2,000. That $2,000 resulted in $20,000, right? So like it's not the same. It's not like you're going to hire someone for $100 and then get $100 in return and break even. It's like, it's way more than that. She said it exponentially grows your business financially. So this area of asking for help, it's not about being stubborn, or it's not about like finally resigning yourself to getting help. It's about, I would say, like trusting experts to be experts, like reaching out and getting the help that could actually grow and boost your business. So that has been really motivating to me. And this is another area that is especially relevant to me right now because I'm leaving a full-time job that has so much security. So I think the first thing that a lot of people would do is cut expenses. And I've actually done the opposite. I actually have brought on someone else to help me with sales. So it's really scary to think I'm going to be making less money and now I'm already committed to spending more money. But this idea of asking for help and investing in help will pay itself back and then some, right? So we're not just trying to break even. We're really trying to kind of catapult ourselves to that next level. So that part really stood out to me. And I have seen that in little ways. I've always been really hesitant to hire, but in hiring Nicole to listen to these podcast episodes and write the show notes and then send out the weekly emails, that almost always results in at least a sale or two. So I'm not even breaking even. I'm making more money than I would have made without Nicole. So that's a very concrete example. Another example is my inflator, Kate. So she comes once a week, blows up all my balloons for me, and frees up my time, and like my mental health is so much better because every night I put my daughter to bed and I'm no longer going out to now blow up balloons for 3 hours. I'm coming downstairs to have dinner and watch TV with my husband, and it's just like a much better balance. And because I have extra hands, like there have been times where I can't take on more jobs because I can't physically get all the balloons done in time. Like, you know, I don't know what a big weekend would be, but like I would say if I had like a $5,000 job, that's going to take me the week to prep by myself. But if I now have help, I could take a $10,000 job. Maybe I could take a $20,000 job. Like it actually helps you free up the bandwidth to make not the equal amount of money, not the break-even amount, but way more. So those are just a couple examples in my life. And now I will definitely share in the future how this sales position is going to help. But yeah, I'm really leaning into what she said about asking for help. And that also goes with like childcare. I'll be home now. I think a lot of people are hearing me saying I'm leaving my job, and what they hear is that I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom, and it's not true. And I have to keep telling people that, and I believe that fully. Like I'm not leaving my 9 to 5 to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm leaving my 9 to 5 to work full-time in my business. And that means I need help. I need childcare, and I'm going to have to pay for that. So a lot of like interesting stuff is happening in my life right now. And I think the timing of this book was just super relevant, but really all of the monthly books have led me to this point. So I can't wait to share more about this next step in my life. Again, I am still employed until March 1st. I'm going to wait until I'm actually done, like I've actually worked my last day. Then I'm going to record that episode and release it, all about what led to that point, how I prepared, what's different, what's changing, lots of stuff coming up. But that is my big news, is that I have given my resignation and I have one more month of work, and I have these books to thank for it. So if you would like to join the book club, there is a link in the show notes. It's $5 a month, and you get those episodes right to whatever podcast listener you use to listen to these episodes. So I hope you consider joining us. Give yourself that little gift for 2023, because seriously, these books have been a game changer for me. Next up is a book called Get Different by my boyfriend, Mike Michalowicz. I love this guy. He wrote The Pumpkin Plan and Profit First, which are the two most pivotal books in my business. Like when I read Profit First and implemented it, everything changed. When I read The Pumpkin Plan, everything changed again. And I'm hoping Get Different, which is about marketing, will be another game changer for me. And as with all of Mike Michalowicz's books, I always opt for the audio version because he's snarky, he's funny, he's just very easy to listen to. So if you'd like to join us on that next episode will launch this Sunday. We will get into it from the start. All right, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you next week for another episode. The other day, I got another message on Instagram from someone starting their balloon company asking where I find my products. And I always refer people to Havin a Party Wholesale. They have all of the brands and manufacturers that we love and use as balloon professionals, plus all of the equipment and odds and ends that we need to run our businesses. And anytime you order, you can use the special code BRIGHTBALLOON at checkout to get an extra 5% off. Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. If you are interested in bonus episodes, check out our Patreon group, where I release an additional episode every single week, and you unlock more than 50 archived episodes as soon as you join. Check out the link in the show notes wherever you're listening.